Okay, welcome to step 4 in our project. The third geometric shape we're going to do is an ellipse. An ellipse, you could say, is a circle. Okay, a circle would have the same circumference all the way around, but an ellipse it's kind of like saying a rectangle and a square, the same kind of relationship there. But when you're programming an ellipse, it's kind of an interesting concept because it now takes us away. It's not like a square or a triangle. If you have to think of it a little bit differently. So if we're going to position a ellipse, first of all, let's draw our canvas here, and we'll try and be as specific as possible. That's 50, 100, 200, 300. So 152, 253. That's good. And we'll draw another couple over here. And as we know, that's 0 zeros over here. This is our X, this is our Y. The numbers start from 0 and go on over. So, but ellipse, when we're drawing, it's a little different because when we're drawing an ellipse, we're going to go, let's write the code out for it. Nothing secret about how they do this. It has 4 arguments inside of it. And it works a little differently than a square, which you would say, well, the square is going to start here, it's going to go down to here, and it's going to go over to here and down over here, right? So we have the X, Y is this, and then we have the X, Y is the second, and then we have the height and the width. It's a little different, and I'll show you why. Because say we want to make a circle that is 100 pixels wide and 100 pixels high. So we go with 50, 100, 150, 200. That should be enough right there. These are 50s, right? So we're going to go times it by 50s, plus 50s. In any case, the first one that we have here, this first point, is actually the center of the drawing. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm going to say, well, I want the circle to be centered right about here. Okay? And I would go 150. Well, that is 150 on the X and 150 on the Y. That is the center of this drawing. Now we need to know how wide and high we want to make it. So the width of the actual circle, we want it to go 50 that way and 50 this way because we want it to be 100. So there's your width. Well, if that's the case, we want it to be 100 across, and we want it to be even 50 this way and 50 this way. There's your height and width. So that's pretty much what it's going to look like. Now, if you were to say, draw it, that's a horrible looking circle, but you get the idea, right? That's how it would look. So let's very quickly, let's take a moment here and let's put some comments in, and we're going to call this ellipse. Let's call it orange, or red, green, blue, since we didn't use blue yet. Blue ellipse, and we're going to put thin stroke. There you go. So let's type it in. The draw function is still working, and we're going to go ellipse. We got that. And what parameters were we talking about? We want to lower it a little bit, so we're going to give this. We're going to add 2. We'll add 100 to all these. Let's see if that works. 100. So that's 250. That's going to be right on top of our triangle. Let's add 300 to it. We can get away with that, I think. Okay, 300 to the, that's going to be 450, 450, 44. All right, so 450, 450, 400, 400. Now what does that look like? Well, it does look like a red circle. It actually looks like a pretty big red circle, actually. And it's actually going outside of the canvas. So we'd have to enlarge the canvas in order to be able to actually see that. I'm going to enlarge the canvas up to 1,000. I don't recommend necessarily doing that, but and let's see. Now we can see the entire circle. So the center of it is actually the first XY. That's the dot. And then it's the width and then the height. It's actually a pretty simple concept once you understand where it's coming from. Where it's coming from. The next thing we might draw is something a bit different. Let's draw, let's give it some color. So let's change the fill to green. We have a green already. Let's change it to blue. Do we have blue? And of course you could be, monkeying with this all along, change the colors, and I expect you to have different colors than I have here. That would be nice of you to do that. And we don't have any stroke on it, so we're going to put a thin stroke. Stroke, how many, I don't know. What color stroke do we want? Not quite sure why the 0 is up in that bit of code, but we're going to get rid of it. Let's say the stroke, we will make the color of it. Let's see if we could mix it up a little bit. 100, 200, 100. Let's see what that looks like. Well, it should give us a color, don't you think? Well, what are we missing? Well, we're missing a parenthesis. Okay. Now, tell me what it looks like. There you go. So in this case, we have we have an ellipse, which we've designed as a circle. If we had lowered that, so let's say we lower the height on this so it's not symmetrical all the way around, you can see how it starts to change the height of it. It's still as wide, but it's just shorter height-wise. You know what? I think I'm going to keep that because it's kind of giving me a little breathing space when it comes to the. Let me even make it a little lower. That way the triangle is showing. All right, next up, step 5 and last drawing that I'm going to need you to do. I will do that shortly. See you soon.